Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all our viewers. This is our educational channel Learning Biology Online, and it's me Dr. Asad with his expertise in biology, through which I would like to give you a very good understanding of the carbohydrates. So as previously we have discussed a very basic stuff regarding carbohydrates that is mentioned in chapter number 2, Introduction to Biochemistry. In this lecture we will specifically highlight some of the very important features of the different types of carbohydrates, and we will be focusing more on their structural composition of how they are basically formed and how aldehyde and ketone group they exist within them. And then we will also focus on the source of different carbohydrates that we have already discussed, that includes monosaccharide, disaccharide, and the oligo and polysaccharides as well. So by the end of this lecture, we hope that you will be able to identify and differentiate between the structural differences between different types of carbohydrates, their source, and you will also be able to understand how a glycosidic bond is formed. जैसे कि हमने प्रीवियसली जब कंपैरिजन किया था तीनों डिफरेंट टाइप्स में, तो हमने ये पढ़ा था कि ओलिगो और पॉलीसैकेराइड में ग्लाइकोसिडिक बॉन्ड जो है वो एग्जिस्ट करता है. तो इस लेक्चर में हम पढ़ेंगे कि हाउ दैट बॉन्ड इज एक्चुअली फॉर्म्ड बिटवीन different molecules that are present within the polysaccharide. And lastly, we will also focus on some of the very distinctive features of the polysaccharides. Starting off with the monosaccharides, as they are the simplest form of sugar, there are all carbon atoms with one hydroxyl group, and there is also a presence of an aldehyde or a keto group that is attached to the carbon atoms. तो जैसे कि हमने पहले भी इस चीज़ को कवर किया था कि जो हमारे पास ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड्स होते हैं दैट कंसिस्ट ऑफ मेनली ऑफ द कार्बन, हाइड्रोजन एंड ऑक्सीजन एटम. तो उसमें भी जो मेन कंटेंट है दैट इज़ द प्रेजेंस ऑफ द कार्बन एटम, सो दैट इज़ अटैच्ड टू द एल्डिहाइड और द कीटो ग्रुप. So the sugar with the aldehyde group is known as the aldo sugar, that basically consists of the aldehyde group, followed by the keto sugar that consists of the keto group. So these are the two fine examples that we have already covered. जब हम इस carbohydrates की chemical definition को cover कर रहे थे, तो उसमें भी हमने क्या पढ़ा था कि जो simplest form होती हैं carbohydrates की, that either consist of an aldehyde or a keto sugar, or whenever their complex forms are broken down, they also yield either keto or an aldehyde group. So on this slide over here we have mentioned two very important and common monosaccharides known as the ribose and the glucose sugar. इसके अलावा जो मोनोसैकेराइड्स होते हैं, इसमें जो कार्बन एटम है दैट एक्चुअली वेरीज फ्रॉम 3 to 7 कार्बन एटम्स. 3 कार्बन एटम हो तो उसको हम ट्रायोसिस कहते हैं, 4 इज़ पेंटोसिस एंड देन सो ऑन 4 इज़ टेट्रोसिस, 5 पेंटोसिस एंड 7 हेप्टोसिस. तमाम के तमाम ये जो हमारे पास डिफरेंट मोनोसैकेराइड्स की टाइप्स हैं, जैसे ट्रायोसिस हैं, तो दे आर इंटरमीडिएट प्रोडक्ट्स इन रेस्पिरेशन इन एनिमल्स एंड फोटोसिंथेसिस इन केस ऑफ प्लांट्स. उसके अलावा जो मोस्ट कॉमन ऑब्वियसली जिसको हमने बताया, दे आर द राइबोज एंड द ग्लूकोज शुगर. तो ये जो हमारे पास राइबोज है दैट फॉर्म्स अ 5 कॉर्नर्ड रिंग, जिसको हम फिर दैट इज़ द नोन एज द राइबोफ्यूरानोज, एंड द ग्लूकोज मॉलिक्यूल दैट इज़ ऑल्सो मोस्ट कॉमन energy molecule that is produced from within the cell by breakdown of complex molecules. So that is the hexose, which is the 6-cornered ring, and the 6-cornered ring structure is known as the glucopyranose. So these are the two most important or the common monosaccharides that are yielded by the breakdown of complex carbohydrates, and they are the 5-cornered and the 6-cornered structures respectively. So glucose is one of the most important energy source molecules. It exists in free states in many fruits such as grapes and even in dates and other ripened fruits. So it's one of the very important energy molecule that is required within the plant and animal cell. ठीक है, इसके अलावा जो एक important process होता है plants के case में that helps them produce energy, that is photosynthesis. इसमें भी आप देख सकते हैं कि we have shown a chemical reaction over here that occurs in presence of these two most important products known as the carbon dioxide and water. And then plants, they have a green pigment that facilitates them in photosynthesis known as the chlorophyll. ठीक है, इसके अलावा जब भी इन दो प्रोडक्ट्स के प्रेजेंस दो रिएक्टेंट्स के प्रेजेंस में देयर इज प्रेजेंस ऑफ सनलाइट, तो दैट लाइट एनर्जी इज यूज्ड टू कन्वर्ट carbon dioxide and water in presence of chlorophyll into this glucose molecule that is the most important energy molecule present in case of plant cell as well. And then you can see there is release of oxygen and water molecules as well. So this is how photosynthesis forms glucose in case of plant cell. So that is the source of energy that is stored within the plant cell, and whenever it is required it can be produced as a result of oxidation. इसके अलावा human blood जो है उसमें भी 0.08% of glucose is present, and then there are other disaccharide molecules and polysaccharides such as starch and glycogen that on hydrolysis yield glucose molecule. Then we come to the oligosaccharides. These are those types of carbohydrates that yield monosaccharides on their breakdown, and they consist of at least 2 monosaccharides at a time. ठीक है, दो हो सकते हैं या दो से ज़्यादा होंगे तो there will be formation of oligosaccharides. The ones that yield 2 monosaccharides, they are known as the disaccharides, and then you can see the example of different oligosaccharides that occur within the cell. They are the maltose, sucrose and the lactose sugar. Now in order to understand the concept of how a glycosidic bond is formed between two monosaccharide molecules, so we have two monosaccharide molecules over here, fructose and glucose, that will combine to form a disaccharide. So you can see a fructose molecule and a glucose molecule on the right, fructose on the left side. So you can see this is one of the carbon positions in case of fructose and this one in case of the glucose molecule over here. So H molecule of this and the OH group of glucose, this will combine to form a water molecule, and there will be a release of water over here, that is H2O molecule. And then you can see this O left over here, the carbon atoms, they will combine with this O molecule in this position, and this is how this whole glycosidic bond will be formed between the glucose and the fructose molecule over here. So see that we have already covered previously in one of our introductory lectures of biochemistry that the carbon and the oxygen molecule, they combine to form a glycosidic bond. ठीक है, that is an energy bond that is present between disaccharides, oligosaccharides and even the polysaccharides. So this is how glycosidic bond formation occurs when the two monosaccharide molecules, they combine with each other. Lastly, we come to the polysaccharides that have a very high molecular weight, which means that the number of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen atoms, they are multiple. So very large number of carbon molecules are present. So you can see the different source of polysaccharides that exist, that are starch, glycogen, cellulose, dextrine, agar, pectin and chitin. तो इसमें बहुत सारे जो कंपोनेंट्स हैं, जैसे कि स्टार्च है, सेलुलोज है, काइटिन है, ये हमें डिफरेंट प्लांट्स या इवन बैक्टीरियल सेल में या इवन फंगाई जो हैं उनके जो सेल वॉल के कंपोनेंट्स हैं उनमें हमें ये डिफरेंट कंपोनेंट्स मिल रहे होते हैं. So these are the sources of the polysaccharides. Starch is one of the most important carbohydrates that is present in case of animals as a main source, and it is present in fruit, grains and seeds. And then you can see the most important types of starch that is present in the animal cell. These are amylose and amylopectin, where amylopectin, they are branch structures and they are insoluble in water, either it is in hot or cold form, whereas the amylose, it is unbranched and it is soluble in water, especially in hot water. So even on iodine test that is performed to detect the presence of different polysaccharides, so starch will give blue color to show its presence. Then we come to glycogen, that is the principal stored amount of carbohydrates both in plants and mostly in the animal cells probably. So they are predominant in liver and the muscular component of animals, insoluble in water, and whenever iodine test is performed, so they will give red color. So this is one of the important tests to identify these polysaccharide molecules in different solutions or even in the cells. So the glycogen, it appears as in form of red color whenever iodine test is performed. Then we have another important polysaccharide that is mostly present in the plants and the most abundant carbohydrate that is present in nature. So the pure form of this is cotton, and it is a very important component of plant cell, and it also yields glucose on hydrolysis. The cellulase is the enzyme that is present in plants that helps in breakdown of cellulose, and this enzyme actually does not occur in case of the animal cells, and it does not gives any color whenever iodine test is performed. So hope you have been able to understand the most important components of the carbohydrate, their source and their structural composition, and how a glycosidic bond is formed within the two monosaccharides or two or more monosaccharide molecules. So do like our video and share it with your colleagues, and if you have any questions relevant to the video, do ask in the comment section. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button so you can receive the new notification of our videos on regular basis. Thank you very much.